right, everybody, it is Tuesday and we are KUAM and we are coming to you from Harmon. We hope you are having a good day. Yes, we are going to talk about the earthquake. I know everybody felt that last night. Most of us were in bed. So you know what? Let's get right to it. Let's go.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the Fresh Garden Bar.
We are going to tell you exactly what Mother Nature had for us last night as a temblor woke most island residents up. The task force formed to tackle illegal entry to Guam by boat makes 2 more arrests, and they did so on Monday. And in a bit, we're going to tell you about details to a human rights conference that begins tomorrow. I am talking to 2 scholars about their very fine work. And we will find out why the launch of Artemis 1 was scrapped. All right, for you science and space people. Now, right off the top, how many of you felt it last night? I'm assuming most of you did. As Guam was rocked by an earthquake felt across the island Monday night, our buddies over at the U.S. Geological Survey recorded an estimated magnitude of 5.8 on the Richter scale, recorded some 49 kilometers northeast of Jigo just before 11 p.m. Fortunately, no injuries or damages were reported. A quote from a resident in the neighborhood said, and this is very, very scientific, "That was a strong one." That was a neighborhood watch group chat on WhatsApp. The quake lasted for about a minute, if you can believe it. Now, our friends at the Office of Homeland Security and Civil Defense remind the community that when an earthquake does in fact strike, please conduct the earthquake procedure, which is, of course, drop, cover, and hold until the shaking stops. September, mind you, is National Preparedness Month. We told you about that yesterday. In crime news, a biker was caught with meth and a gun after leading police on a brief chase through PD on Sunday. 26-year-old Anthony Cruz has been charged with possession of a concealed and unregistered firearm without an ID and drug possession. Court documents do indicate that Cruz was going 80 miles per hour on a motorcycle before he was stopped. He allegedly admitted to cops he illegally had a gun on him. Authorities found a Glock 17 in his backpack, which he brought from a Santa Rita Sumay man for $300. Officers also found 2 baggies with the meth substance. Cruz is on pretrial release for a separate identity theft case. 46-year-old Riandy Ileaso was allegedly drunk on August 26 when he drove into oncoming traffic, hitting a truck head-on. According to a magistrate's complaint, police responded to the crash on Route 8 in Barragata just before 8 p.m. He was the driver of a Pontiac G5 in the center lane that crossed into an oncoming lane, hitting a Toyota Tacoma head-on. A passenger in the Tacoma received injuries that required immediate transport to the hospital in Tamuning. Police also noted that Ileaso appeared drunk with bloodshot, watery eyes and smelled of alcohol. He had an injury but refused treatment. He then allegedly uttered to police, quote, "That guy came over there out of nowhere." When asked by police if he had drunk any alcohol, he said, "A 6-pack of Bud Light in the can." He also didn't have a driver's license and been arrested multiple times for driving while intoxicated. He was charged with vehicular negligence with bodily injuries, driving while impaired, reckless driving, and driving while impaired. Well, more Chinese nationals continue to get arrested following their illegal entry onto Guam's shoreline by boat. Here is the very latest with this developing story.
Authorities have arrested 2 more Chinese nationals who snuck into Guam illegally by boat from the CNMI. Over the last several months, 9 boats filled with passengers have disembarked on Guam shorelines illegally. Spokesperson for the Guam Police Department, Officer Berlin Sevilla.
Today we have located 2. Xiao Wan Sun, Chinese woman, 41 years of age, and Gan Yu Li, Chinese man, 49 years of age, were arrested on suspicion of failure to acquire clearance requirements, failure to deliver a manifest to a customs officer, and invalid place of unloading. Both will be booked and confined to the Department of Corrections.
Since June, they've intercepted 71 passengers and have arrested only 4, according to Director of Customs and Quarantine Ike Pareto.
Our entry requirements is very specific when it states that for you to come into Guam, you need a departure clearance from the point of origin. They don't have a departure clearance. You're also required to have a passenger manifest. And if you have cargo on board, you are required to report them.
Just last week, another boat attempted to enter illegally.
They know already that we were waiting for them, so they managed to turn that around.
The boat was later intercepted by CNMI law enforcement, and according to Director Pareto, there's been other attempts prevented by the Coast Guard. Police are encouraging the community to report any suspicious activity to CQA at 671-642-8071 or GPD at 671-475-8615.
From the mainland, police in Bend, Oregon are releasing more information about a shooting at a supermarket that left at least 3 people dead, including the gunman. Here's what we know.
Police say a 20-year-old opened fire first at his apartment complex, then at a nearby shopping center where 2 people were killed Sunday night in Bend, Oregon.
The shooter is identified as 20-year-old Bend resident Ethan Blair Miller. We will identify him once by name, and that's it.
The first victim was an 84-year-old customer who was shot and killed at the entrance to the Safeway grocery store. Police say the shooter then walked through the grocery store and shot to death 66-year-old Safeway employee Donald Ray Surratt Jr. in the produce section.
Surratt engaged with the shooter, attempted to disarm him, and may very well have prevented further deaths. Mr. Surratt acted heroically during this terrible incident.
Within minutes, police found the suspect's body inside the store with bullet casings, an AR-15 style rifle, and a shotgun nearby. They say he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Safeway employees described the chaotic scene as they ran and hid.
Me and 3 other employees ran into a walk-in refrigerator and closed the door and stayed there. We stayed hidden until the authorities arrived.
Investigators found several items during a search of the suspect's car and apartment.
In the shooter's vehicle, we located 3 Molotov cocktails, as well as a sawed-off shotgun. We also located additional ammunition and digital devices, and those are currently being reviewed.
Police are now going through the suspect's online posts to determine whether he announced plans for an attack. So far, the shooter's motive is unknown, and police are looking into whether he had any association with the store. Danya Backus, CBS News.
It's time for a quick commercial break, but coming up on the Hotspot, we are going to catch up with our friends at the Department of Youth Affairs and tell you about human rights. Much more coming up on the show, so please stay tuned.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Off today, I'm Kelina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The Governor's Child Care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the Governor's Child Care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Pacific Points, your everyday expenses could be helping you save. Earn points at Shell, Foodies Guam, and IT&E. Then redeem for awesome rewards. Want free fuel from Shell or snacks from Foodies Guam? What about discounts on your IT&E bill, free IT&E prepaid cards, or United Mileage Plus Miles? Sign up for free today. Visit PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
It's news in our native language on the KUAM News Tomorrow News Updates, streaming online on Isla Radio and on the KUAM News YouTube channel. It's part of our ongoing commitment to sustain and perpetuate our language and culture across generations. Tomorrow News Updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on The Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platforms and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam on Demand.
Welcome back, everybody. The Hotspot continues live on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course KUAM TV. Thank you and Hafaday for each and every one of you for watching. I am joined by two wonderful ladies right now. We got a live in-studio guest for you, and the Guam Human Rights Initiative is hosting a human rights conference series tomorrow regarding human trafficking on Guam and across the Pacific. Here to tell us about the series are co-founders of the initiative, very, very accomplished women scholars. They're also really, really cool. I've been talking to them during commercial break. They know a lot about a lot, so I'm really excited for this interview. We have Mary Kate Soliva. Hafaday, Mary Kate.
Hafaday.
Very good to see you. All right, and Erica Anderson is here as well. So Erica, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I must also add that they literally they're dealing with jet lag.
That's true.
Because coming in. So we appreciate, not only the fact that you're sharing this information, but that you're dealing with such a sensitive topic, which unfortunately has really made a presence here on Guam and in the Pacific. So Erica, maybe can you give us some context about what the conference will deal with?
Yeah, so a little bit of background first. So Mary Kate and I decided to start the Guam Human Rights Initiative because we're both pursuing doctoral programs, and we really wanted to take what we were learning there and bring it back to Guam and apply it as best as we could. So we wanted to focus a lot on how to really do the research that we needed to do into different human rights issues. And human trafficking is one that we've dealt with before. We were doing our master's degrees together at UOG when Blue House broke. So when we were talking about wanting to invest in the community in some sort of human rights way, focusing on human trafficking was the most natural fit. So the conference that we're putting on, it is a full-day conference on Thursday. We'll have 4 panels because we wanted to have a really well-rounded, interesting group of stakeholders presenting. So we have presenters from law enforcement, government, private business, and victim advocacy, plus a piece on how to protect yourself. There's also a webinar happening tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. That is on human trafficking from a strategic standpoint as more of a national security issue, which Mary Kate is an expert in.
Oh, I don't know about an expert, but thank you. But
you're both very, very well read, and I know obviously you've done tremendous research into this area, and so your insight is very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. And we're just so grateful for the amount of support, because Erica and I literally just started earlier this year with the Guam Human Rights Initiative, but the fact that we put this conference together in under 3 months to really get that community support, and it was really important that we made it free for everybody. But as Erica pointed out, not only are we looking at it from a human rights standpoint, but also a national security standpoint with regards to human trafficking, especially with the strategic location Guam is for the United States.
Now, it's one of the things that, Erica, I appreciate the fact that you brought up the Blue House Lounge-like case, which is, one of those things that goes back a few years. But I know when it came to human trafficking, it's really messed up to say, but a lot of people in a lot of different markets were like, okay, that's somebody else's problem. Like it's another country, it's another region or stuff like that. When it hits home and really happens on our shores, then it becomes, as the kids say, then it becomes a real deal. What do people have to know locally about how prevalent human trafficking is here in our community?
Well, so I think a lot of the ways that human trafficking can manifest are things that we kind of take for granted. There are certain areas that you don't really go to because it's a little bit seedy for whatever reason. You avoid certain, I don't know, maybe certain bars, maybe certain massage parlors, places like that. Anywhere that that you might be a little bit concerned about. So I think that there's a general awareness that we have as locals on Guam that hasn't really translated into strict data, which is one of the things that we wanted to work on.
But we also don't want the community to get so hung up on the data, because they're sort of like, well, where are the cases? Where are the numbers? There's no reporting. And even off islands, like, is it really happening
That's
here?
a great point.
And so, but I asked for folks to take a look at the significant lack. You know, there could be lack of laws, lack of resources, lack of awareness. We don't have folks that are scholars, have degrees in countering human trafficking, for example. We're not taught. We don't teach it in the schools. So even victims themselves sometimes don't know that they are a victim, even though they went through the whole process and they've been groomed. Maybe it started off where they were willingly coming to Guam, or they willingly took a job, but then it can quickly become a situation where it's labor trafficking, or they're being exploited for sex, or even child trafficking. But without that awareness piece, we might not know what's staring us in the face. And so that's where we really wanted to make this conference available to the community, virtually and in person, so that we can educate folks on what human trafficking really is, and to make sure we're not sharing any sort of misinformation.
Now, for people, Erica, you did say this is going to be a webinar. So is this like one of the like a Zoom webinar that people can tune into, and is there any registration?
Tomorrow is just a webinar, and that one, please do register. On Thursday, it is mostly in person, and we are encouraging people to come in person, so that we are encouraging people to come in person so that they can actually ask questions of the panelists, because we do want to really engage the community as best as possible. We will be live streaming it for the people who can't make it in person. Like Mary Kate said, all registration is free. We do just ask that they register so we know they're coming. We also have the option for continuing education units, and that's a $35 administration fee. In order to get one CEU, participants would need to attend the webinar tomorrow as well as the full day conference.
Yes, and we do, you probably didn't notice on the flyer as well, but there is the Hoover Institution out of Stanford University in California, but that's under Dr. Condoleezza Rice, and I'm currently a veteran fellow with the Hoover Institution. So from the findings from this conference, I'll be putting that, thank you, I'll be putting that together as well. So there are eyes on this. People realize that Guam is very important, not just, just the culture itself, but just, like I said, the strategic location that Guam is. So understanding the implications, not just from a human rights standpoint, but for the U.S. mainland as well. There are a lot of eyes on Guam. So we want to make sure that human trafficking is part of that conversation, to make sure that we are keeping the people of Guam safe.
And the human rights is such a fascinating topic, because by its nature and by definition, it affects anyone as a citizen of the planet. These are things that, by virtue of the fact that, we're human beings, these are liberties that, we all should have, and there are protections that we should all be able to avail of. So would you say there is a specific target audience, for the conference? Because, you mentioned, Erica, law enforcement, academics certainly would be able to benefit this, not just law enforcers, but also legal studies students and practitioners, I would assume.
Yeah, so we've strongly encouraged students especially to come out, because we do want to spread awareness with the younger generation so that they're a little bit more tuned into it. But we have been trying to spread awareness to professionals in a bunch of different fields. Given that Guam is a small community and the Pacific Islands are a rather small community, we do want to encourage kind of very active engagement from everyone. So
yeah, then the target audience too, like Erica said, it started for us at University of Guam as graduate level students on Marine Corps Drive at rush hour, holding signs with the students saying it's happening, because we wanted people in Guam to ask us what's happening. And so it's great. Like, we had former Attorney General Alicia Limtiaco as our keynote 10 years ago for our forum then, and she's going to be our keynote this week on Thursday. So it's just great that it's coming back full circle. But this is a conversation we want folks to be having every year, not just in January for Human Trafficking Awareness Month, but throughout the year, to make sure that we have the resources available, that we're tackling the demand, we're tackling countering what the traffickers are doing, but also ensuring support for the victims as well.
I was going to say, Mary Kate, you took my next question right off my notes.
Did I?
No, that's an absolutely wonderful thing, because I was going to say, I appreciate how you brought up Alicia Limtiaco, because I personally have interviewed her maybe a dozen times over the years when she was in office, and the work that she did to really shine light on the fact that human trafficking is a problem. It is, again, very prevalent in here and up north in the CNMI.
Absolutely.
And she did a tremendous job of really making people aware of this.
She did, and one of the things that I remember even just a decade ago as a young university student that really stuck with me is, I remember she said, like, no like child grows up saying like I want to sell myself. So it always stuck with me of like, even if folks who are pro legalizing prostitution, you think about, is that their best choice for them? Is it their only choice? Like if they had other choices, would they make that choice? And so much the media oftentimes, just even around the world, mixes up smuggling and prostitution and trafficking, uses those words interchangeably. But it's so important that we're using the right wording, it's the right language, that we're sending out the right information. So really, it started here in Guam for both Erica and I, and we're just glad to be back to share this message again.
Well, on that point, of course, and please, everybody, we wanted you to register for the conference. Amazing stuff by very, very learned professionals, and we really want you to register, become, and there, thank you. The link is in the bottom if you're watching us on the live stream right now. Please make sure to hit that bit.ly link and you can register, and please recommend your friends to do so. Going forward, though, we also want to encourage people to get involved in the Guam Human Rights Initiative, the organization itself. So if there are people out watching this right now who feel motivated and say, I was inspired, I believe in what you guys do, and sign me up, like how may people do so?
They're welcome to contact us through our website. There is a live chat button where you can talk to any of us. You can send us emails, anything like that. We'd love to hear from people. Any ideas they have.
And different skill sets too. Like we have folks that that we're connected with from other nonprofit organizations that they trace the money. We got folks that are looking at the cyber crimes, trying to find predators online. So even if you have like marketing background as you do, there's the messaging that goes out, and ensuring like sometimes the messaging it could be misleading, because sometimes, like I said, victims don't even realize that they are victims. So it's really important that the messaging that we're putting out there is something that's relatable to those who may be living in that situation. And so there's something, even if you spend 15 minutes a week to just make sure a social media post that you're going out is from a legitimate source, and putting that out there, you're helping in the fight against human trafficking. You don't need to be law enforcement, a social worker, a doctor to be part of the fight in combating human trafficking. It's something that all of us collectively, it's going to take the community to do and to support, because if we're going to fight and defend freedom for all in the United States, we should be fighting to end modern day slavery. And that's really what it is. We knew it as comfort women back in World War II. We've known it as human trafficking over the years. It is modern day slavery, and it's invisible chains. So it's something that, again, it's going to take all of us collectively to use our skill sets and join the fight.
And human rights, maybe just to wrap up here, is, again, such a broad term. It covers such a wide spectrum of topics. Maybe going forward, and like even though we're really concentrating on human trafficking and we really want to make positive change and really reduce this problem, as you said, Mary Kate, what other topics do you see the initiative maybe taking focus on going forward, or like other aspects of human rights that people may want to glom onto and become part of?
Well, so when we were talking about establishing this organization, we chose human rights because it did have a lot of space under it, and we wanted to make sure that as an organization we'd have the flexibility to kind of adapt to whatever came along. The world is constantly evolving, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't pigeonhole ourselves in any way. So we're in conversation with people in the environmental sphere, we're talking to lawyers, we're talking to human rights advocates from a variety of different fields. And we're just trying to be as open as possible to any other topics that can come up.
And the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is something that even a lot of companies, I know Erica's the SME, subject matter expert on corporate social responsibility, but that's something that these are kind of buzzwords that some people that are listening now may not be familiar with, but you can go online and see the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and one of the things we're thinking about even for near future is women's peace and security. It's something that, even for the military is important, for our host nations, it's really important, and for Guam, it's important too. So we really just want to be able to amplify the voices on these human rights issues throughout the region.
Now, I'm an old man, but I was not around to see like the civil rights movement and everything, but I can just say, in the last 3 or 4 years, there has never been a time in my existence on Earth when we had a period of so much social change. And I can think of no other organization more necessary than the very fine work that you ladies and your team are doing right now. So, tremendous work, and thank you so much for putting on this conference.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and we hope to see everybody there.
Okay, Erica, any final words?
No, thank you so much for having us on.
All right. That's it. So please, everybody, there is the link. Once again, please register and please attend and please help our island with this very, very real issue facing us. All right, we are going to take another commercial break, but when we come back, catching up with the Department of Youth Affairs. That is coming next.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
Half a day. I'm Kelina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Want a better look at your spending? With Money Map, you can automatically create budgets and manage where your money is going. Know when you have a green light, or when it's time to slow down. Maybe cook more meals at home this week. Set your goals, track your progress, and find your way to exactly where you want to be. With Money Map from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. It all starts with yes.
The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Boonifly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News HotSpot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes, weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need.
Pacific Points is more rewarding with friends. Refer as many friends as you want. There's no limit. Referring friends is fast and easy. Simply log into your account on the app or website, then tap or click on Refer a Friend. Earn bonus points when they sign up and make a transaction. Earn 100 bonus points for every friend you refer. Pacific Points. Refer friends, get rewarded.
It's news in our native language on the KUAM News Tomorrow News Updates, streaming online on Isla Radio and on the KUAM News YouTube channel. It's part of our ongoing commitment to sustain and perpetuate our language and culture across generations. Tomorrow News Updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on The Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platforms and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Boonifly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News Hotspot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes. Weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need.
Subscribe to our KUAM News Digest, our weekly email newsletter with all kinds of information straight to your inbox. Just subscribe and we'll make sure to keep you informed and entertained with news from the KUAM News team, what to watch on NBC and CBS, and the latest promotions from KUAM Communications. Go to KUAM.com, click on the newsletter tab at the top of the homepage, register, and you're all set. Brought to you by Uno Go, Guam on Demand.
All right, the hotspot continues right now, and we are going to the KUAM News Zoom room where we are catching up with our friends from the Department of Youth Affairs. We, of course, have the agency's director, the one and only Melanie Brennan. Hello to you.
Hello, Hafa Jason. Thank you so much for always, giving us this opportunity to give you updates on the Department of Youth Affairs.
Of course. We heard Melanie wanted to come on. We're like, all right, clear the Zoom. Melanie's coming on. You've got your own parking space at KUAM. You know that by now.
Thank you. We're always trying to leverage our community resources to provide more opportunities for our at-risk youth population that we serve. They really are faced with, many more challenges than youth out in the community. And so it was just like a stroke of good fortune that Alyssa Maatnyal from the Bay Area reached out to me on August 6th saying that she was going to be on Guam. And she actually works for a nonprofit organization called The Beat Within. And they're a publication of writing and art from inside, and they provide kids or youth in residential facilities, incarcerated youth, with opportunities to write and give voice to some of their life experiences. And so she's agreed to meet with us, and she's on now, and I'd like everyone to meet Alyssa Maatnyal.
Well, Hafa Alyssa, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We're very, very, very proud and pleased to have you along for the show. And what does it mean for you to be able to work with DYA? Because I know Director Brennan was telling me, like the last time when we had her here, that a lot of people maybe, unfortunately, or there is a misconception about DYA that they just think, it's a juvie program. And certainly that is not the case. It's a wonderful organization that has programs that give youth opportunities, really does a lot of mentorship and does a lot of empowerment to our youth.
Yes, so this actually means everything to me, to be able to tie my life's work, my passion, with my culture and my motherland. This is everything. So unfortunately, the views on youth at-risk population can seem very unfortunate or underserved. However, our kids are our next leaders. They're the next teachers of the generation. So departments like these and programs like these are essential to successful youth development and making them successful adults in the future. So this is everything.
Now, of course, we here on Guam, family, of course, means everything to us. Family and respect. I mean, those are the two biggest virtues we have as, Guamanians. So what message do you try and really marshal to young people that, telling them about, you may not realize it right now, but, we're literally handing over society and we're handing over responsibility and, shepherding of the island to you. And so, you guys have a lot on your plate, but we know you can do it. How do you get that message across?
It all starts with the message of healing. In order to heal yourself and for you to thrive into the individual and the adult that you want to become, you have to take the responsibility of healing and learning about your ancestors, your parents, your grandparents, your generations before you, and setting your goals, putting your goals ahead of you and understanding that in order to reach these goals and all the dreams that you want to achieve as an adult, you have to kind of look backwards and also look within. So serving your family in order to heal the generations to become as well as yourself.
And Madam Director, I know these are achievable goals that you've said many, many times here on the show that, you really want to drive home to like kids and, you can do this, you do have to put in the work, but, Guamanians have never been afraid of hard work. So, you can actually get this done.
I really believe that we can get this done through collaboration. I don't think that a single government agency can be responsible for, changing the trajectory of all youth. And so really it's about getting the community together. People like Alyssa's group, The Beat Within, she has offered to do a free writing workshop with our kids. And we're thinking about how can we sustain this? How can we give youth, especially at-risk youth, a voice? And this is one way where we're not only, advancing their literacy and giving them a chance to be more introspective, but also sharing. The Beat Within is a publication. I think, Alyssa, it's published and it reaches like several sites like DYA, I think over 100 sites in the US. And so this is huge for us, and we're super happy to have Alyssa here.
Okay, maybe Alyssa, can you maybe just shine a little bit of light on the fact that through the medium of writing, this is a wonderful avenue for young people, and as the director said, they may be possibly at risk, but this is a way that you can express yourself, that you can communicate, what you're feeling inside that you may not know how by traditional means, to get that across. And you can really find catharsis in yourself by really expressing yourself that way.
Yes. So our big mission with The Beat Within is, of course, to provide children a platform to write whatever they want to write about. We provide topics for them to spark inspiration, but at the end of the day, the whole point of the workshop is to focus on that one child and allow them the freedom to think for themselves without influence from the outside, and allow them to express themselves in any way that they are able to express themselves, whether it's writing an essay, writing 2 sentences, maybe drawing, creating some art. Just giving them that opportunity and that platform and that undivided attention to express themselves is sometimes more powerful than the actual writing themselves. Is holding that space for them to do that.
How you said it may take only like a couple sentences, because like a lot of people think, okay, well, if I'm going to be a writer, I basically have to churn out, like the Old Testament and, like hundreds and hundreds of pages about what I'm feeling inside, and come up with something profound. But I mean, look at haiku. Haiku is like 575, and that's some of the most profound writing that's ever been done.
Right. Absolutely.
And with writing, Alyssa, there's so many different, forms. I mean, there's, there's short form, there's poetry. You can write musical lyrics, or, you can do freestyle rap and things like that. So maybe talk about like that range, and, writing has so many different ways that you can really communicate again, like what you're feeling inside.
Yeah. So a lot of my kids in my workshops, sometimes I'll get essays, sometimes I'll get spoken word poetry, sometimes I'll get full on like rap performances that I'm like, oh, okay, well that works too.
That's awesome.
It's really, it gives them that platform to express themselves any way they want. And it really allows them to tap into their creativity. So whatever form, and sometimes we don't get kids to write for months, but then on that 10th month, they write a whole paragraph or a whole essay on what they've learned over the couple of months. So however we do it, it's to cater to that child.
And what does the feedback tend to be for young people who go through that creative process? And, like when they have something, they put pen to paper, or they, they type something, whether they're just journaling even, when they're able to actually like tap into themselves and, that creative side and let it out. What did they tell you about what the process meant to them?
It's changed their life. Only because when they are in their natural family habitat, or they're doing whatever they're doing in the community, whether it's bad or good, they don't have that time, that sacred space to be able to put those thoughts on paper. So when they go to their rooms at night, or their cells, whatever they go to at night, they're able to release everything that they felt throughout that day and leave it on paper. And that's what I tell them. Put it on the paper. Once you put it on the paper, then it's no longer yours to hold anymore. No more pain you have to hold, no more guilt. And that practice that they have picked up because of the writing workshops has really helped them get through some of their most, unfortunate situations, which a lot of them experience every day.
And Mel, you've actually told me like over the last few months when I've interacted with you that you said fostering maybe more creative outlets is something that you at DYA, you guys were entertaining, and now you're trying to incorporate into your programs. And because your staff is learning as much as the young people are producing, as as the programs are structured to teach them. So what does this mean to you as far as the feedback and the continual improvement that you guys are seeing?
I think for us, we're just super excited because it's just another outlet that we could add to our whole repertoire, our arsenal of outlets for our youth to express themselves. When Alyssa reached out to me, she shared the publication, the most recent publication, and I told her, well, these topics, just resonate. Will resonate with our kids, and these outlets will give them an opportunity to talk about things that they might not ordinarily want to talk about with an adult or with our staff. But we can glean what we need, what we can ask through these workshops. What do you need from us? How can we help you? Alyssa had like a whole host of topics. One was that I read and I was particularly, I liked was, what my dad taught me. And just reading that really gave us an idea of like how many fathers are really involved with their children that are here. And there's just, she has a whole host of topics that I know will offer our kids another outlet for them to express themselves, right? To be a little more introspective and maybe to even share. And through that writing, it can be another catalyst for change, for growth, for their own transformation. So we're super excited to have Alyssa here. And again, I keep hinting that we want to sustain this and hopefully we can have the beat within Guam, like other opportunities and other nonprofits. So this is a huge step. And again, it's another investment in the well-being of our kids.
I really, really love how you use that word transformation, because I think that's, that's perfectly encapsulated, like what it is. I mean, you're really evolving, a young person in very, very positive ways. Alyssa, can I ask now from the converse side of the coin, right? Like the flip side, what pushback do you get when you're trying to introduce this new medium to young people? And, and admittedly, you may get some kids who are like, too cool to write, right? They may have that kind of thing. Or what do even some young people say very honestly, like, that's too hard. I don't know how to do that. Like that's an art form that I'm just not blessed in that way. How do you actually engender them and to really pull it out of them? Because everyone can do this.
Yes. So a lot of the feedback I get is a simple one. It's, I don't write, not a writer, don't like it.
Yep.
And then the other side is exactly what you said. It's, I don't know how to write. I'm amongst all my peers who know how to write, and I don't know how to write. I don't know how to articulate. I don't know what I want to say. Can you help me? And again, it's not so much about the actual writing, it's about the conversation and the holding the space. So if you're telling me you don't like to write, okay, well, that's fine. Well, let's talk. Let's talk about that topic. Express yourself verbally. And then I'm pretty sure in a couple of months, you'll be able to learn how to write these things down. And for those young children who are like, I don't know how to write, I don't know how to spell, that's perfectly fine too. Talk to me. Let's talk about it. And you know what? I can sit here. Here's a dictionary. We'll work on it together. It's not about what's grammatically correct. It's not about anything like that. It's, here's a sacred space that's dedicated to you to express yourself in any way you know how. Eventually, we will always get it on paper.
Okay, can we talk about that for a second? That just opened, something in my mind right now, because we live in a time where especially young people, and I'm all about the written word, right? I mean, I love to write. I love to read wonderful things. But young people these days are, I mean, they're all about, the camera. And right. And they, their entire existence is predicated on their phone. And some kids are actually very, very good and much more comfortable at just, like doing a narrative where they're just like recording themselves on the phone. Do you incorporate that maybe into your teachings and say, like, if you're more comfortable, like doing a TikTok style video or a Snapchat or Instagram story and everything like that, that will work too?
Yeah, so we've actually, these are of course going to be for my community groups, not my incarcerated youth. But community groups, I'm always willing to get social media incorporated and whatever media that they are comfortable in, that they can express themselves in. We love doing that. We love doing special features in our magazines for that. But at the end of the day, not only are you writing, you are inspiring other children. So I say, I know that you may not like to write, it may not be your hobby, but however, when you put something, anything on paper, there's another child in another country, in another state that's going to read your words, and they feel like that's exactly how their life is as well. And you have the power to change other children's minds. And that giving these kids that empowerment, that is what really changes the game for these kids. Then they realize that I do have power. I don't need to know how to write an essay, but I do know how to express myself to inspire the next person. And that's going to create a leader for our generation.
And many kids will actually discover they have a superpower. It's like, wow, I never
Absolutely.
realized that I could impact somebody who I've never met before, like you said, on the other side of the world, just with my thoughts and my words. Now let me ask you, and I'd like both of your opinions on this, ladies. When it comes to presentation, right? Obviously, that's a very subjective thing. What the thoughts that these young people are intimating are very, very, very personal, and sometimes not everyone may be willing to share, and that's totally cool. But do you actually encourage, if someone has put something down like on paper, to share like with the group, or to read it like aloud or in a semi-public forum?
I think
so a part of.
No, go ahead, Alyssa. Go ahead.
So a part of my actual workshop, it's about an hour. And at the end, we give them the time to write. And I always give them at least probably 10 to 15 minutes for someone to share theirs. And it could be a room of no one wanting to share, but we are going to get one person at least to share. Once one person shares, it's going to be a ricochet effect, and then they'll inspire each other to share. Next thing you know, we have a whole classroom that can't wait to share. So absolutely, I like to encourage them to share their work, stand up, present themselves to their peers in a professional and respectful manner every time.
And Mel, I know this is probably right up your alley, because one thing that you've always said is, when DYA like really tries to connect and reach with young people who may be going through something, you're not in this alone. We're going to heal together. We're going to fight together. We're going to grow together. We're going to make Guam better together.
That's exactly the truth. And, with Alyssa saying how in a classroom setting, most kids, even in a regular classroom setting, most kids initially don't want to share. So it's especially so, in an incarceration and a correctional setting. They don't want to share it first. But as soon as the first person does it, then the floodgates open and they're willing to share. So what this publication does is we can bring it into our correctional facility. We can share it with the kids. They will know that other kids in their similar situations have also shared. And I think that's what helps, drive them to want to share as well. So, and also just seeing something that they wrote being published is like huge. It's a success that we can offer them. And so, I just think she runs an incredible program, and I can't wait to be able to share some of our essays with you, Jason.
That's why you're the director, Mel, because you're so brilliant. Transformation and success. It's a wonderful. It's a very, very circuitous cycle. It's a win-win.
It is. It definitely is.
Okay, so before I let you ladies go, can you please give us any more contact information, maybe even Alyssa, where people can follow you, maybe on social media, if they'd like more information?
Yes, so you can actually check out our website, thebeatwithin.org. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at The Beat Within. Super simple. All social media platforms are there.
And I can't wait till Guam. Guam is one of is known to be on the beat within. So thank you, Jason, for the opportunity.
Well, yes. The pleasure is all ours when we have awesome people coming on the show that are doing just absolutely amazing, positive things in our community. Ladies, we are really, really in your debt, and it's an honor for us to have you on the show. So that's Melanie Brennan, the director of the Department of Youth Affairs, and Alyssa Maanyao, teaching young people how to tap the creative spirit within themselves and really get some healing and inspire others. So ladies, you guys are really doing the Lord's work.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Josh, thank you so much.
Please stay tuned, everybody.
There is more HotSpot when we return right here on KUAM.
Half a day. I'm Kelina from Doc's Kitty College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Say hello to the first Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Want a better look at your spending? With Money Map, you can automatically create budgets and manage where your money is going. Know when you have a green light Or when it's time to slow down, maybe cook more meals at home this week. Set your goals, track your progress, and find your way to exactly where you want to be with Money Map from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. It all starts with yes.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Booneyfly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News HotSpot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes. Weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need. Properties in the Tropics is your weekly roundup of the hottest properties on Guam. Every Thursday, get a virtual walkthrough of homes, apartments, townhomes, and land available for lease, rent, or sale with a breakdown of the most important info, including cost, features, and of course, location details. Watch it on KUAM News Hotspot at noon on streaming and TV8 or catch the encore at 5 p.m. on TV11. You can also check out each installment on Instagram too. Properties in the Tropics is presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
It's news in our native language on the KUAM News Tomorrow News Updates, streaming online on Isla Radio and on the KUAM News YouTube channel. It's part of our ongoing commitment to sustain and perpetuate our language and culture across generations. Tomorrow News Updates are brought to you by your familia at First Hawaiian Bank.
All right, welcome back to the Hotspot, everybody. Now, we want to give you a little bit of a heads up for tomorrow's show. So when 11 o'clock hits on Guam local time, you can make sure to tune in and get some really cool information. Of course, our buddy Jess Rosario from the Boca Box is going to join us and teach you his continuing series about how your kids can eat healthy and be max performance when they head to school. I can't wait to see what Jess has coming up for us. Also on Thursday, Properties in the Tropics comes back, and our friends from RE/MAX Diamond Realty are going to show you another amazing piece of property. It may be a home, it may be a commercial property. Who knows? I'm excited to see what they have, because they take us all over the island. They show us some really, really awesome stuff. All right, so that is Wednesday and Thursday right here on the Hotspot, so please make sure and have plans to go check us out. All right, in science news, NASA, yesterday, the massive moon rocket is still sitting on the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center as engineers are working to understand exactly what happened as far as fuel leaks and engine troubles that precluded yesterday's much ballyhooed launch. Here is the very latest.
The Artemis 1 rocket is still holding in a launch countdown, and NASA officials say engineers will be back at work Tuesday, analyzing data from Monday morning's scrub launch.
The team worked through a number of issues today. The team was tired at the end of the day, and we just decided that it was the best to knock it off.
Many of the issues stemmed from fuel leaks that forced crews to repeatedly stop and start fueling overnight.
Leak detection equipment went off and stopped the fill of liquid hydrogen during fast fill.
Crews were able to mostly fill the tanks when they discovered an engine bleed that couldn't be remedied.
This is a brand new rocket. It's not going to fly until it's ready. There are millions of components of this rocket and its systems.
The earliest opportunity to try again would be this Friday afternoon, but that all depends on whether engineers can fix the engine bleed.
Monday's scrub was a disappointment for thousands of people who flocked to the Space Coast hoping to witness the launch of NASA's most powerful rocket. Vice President Kamala Harris was among the visitors. She met with astronauts and got a tour of the hardware for the next two moon missions, Artemis 2 and 3.
The work that happened today was a test that is also going to teach us what we can learn about what was working and what wasn't working. Innovation requires this kind of moment.
The Artemis program hopes to land people on the moon's south pole as early as 2025 and set the stage for a possible landing on Mars.
All right, so tell you what, no time like the present to go get some awesome lunch, so we are going to end our show, and we wish you and anyone that you have lunch with a wonderful afternoon meal, and please be safe when you're on Guam's roads, because as I understand it, outside it's raining a little bit, then it gets hot, then it's raining a little bit. Now, you know what that happens, right? You get that steam that comes off the Guam roads. That makes for some very, very slippery driving conditions, so please, please, everybody, be safe out there, be mindful of each other on the road, and let's all be cool to each other, because we want to see you tonight at 6 for primetime, where Nick Delgado and Hannah Devanzo have you covered for the very latest Guam news headlines. That's our show, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. See you tonight.